Wow, there's so many of you. That's cool. Okay, so it has to be me after Pedro's very interesting but critical talk to cheer you up a bit and to see there's a positive future as well. And actually, I would like to start with showing you my holiday pictures. I was hiking in the Austrian mountains, and you know, after like this one day of climbing, you're really like tired, you're ready for your first beer, and you're like, you know, you can chill out. I saw this hut, and it had solar panels on it. And every time I see solar panels, I get super enthusiastic. I mean, this is technology that takes sunlight, which is free and available for everyone, and turns that into electricity. I mean, amazing, right? But then, why do solar panels have to be so ugly? And why is no one doing anything about it? I mean, look at this beautiful location, everything is, yeah. So that's why I call myself a solar designer. Because I think, like I said, in designer, we can do something about that. So, like Peter was saying, I graduated from the Royal College of Art, and I work in extreme efficiency. That means I work with solar cells that generate energy through colors. So what you see here, these tiny lab things are solar cells. Or I work with expanding materials. And I work in the triangle of design, technology, and sustainability. Let me first start with telling something about these expanding materials, because it might have sounded a bit abstract still. So I developed a porcelain that expands itself in size. So normally when you make clay or something with ceramics, you have a body of clay, you put it in the oven for, say, around like 1200 to 900 degrees. You take it out, you put a you put a layer of glaze on top, and you put it back into the kiln. That's how ceramic works. So I was working at the European Ceramic Work Center, and we were looking for a way of how to combine those two processes into one fire, so that you can save like one fire. And we were looking for something like that in the top, but a lot of different things came out, and one of that was kind of like this bread thing. So basically, a kind of super like a mistake, something that shouldn't supposed to happen. But when a mistake happens, that is also that's a moment where something changes, and if you're able to reproduce that mistake, you have something to work from. So I had this like ceramic which was foaming. It's like sort of when you make a cake or a bread, it rises up in the kiln. So a floating porcelain. And I started to work with that. I looked at how you can create molds for that, how you can create glazes for that. I looked at how big can you make this. So this is a big cabinet I made. It was like 2 meters high. This was my graduation project in Amsterdam in the Rietveld Academy, just to see, okay, what can you do with these new materials? I looked at other qualities of how to, sort of control the bubbles, because if you have bigger bubbles or smaller bubbles, glazing, you could play with light, for example. You can have it into lighting. So it was really like a material exploration, and when I look at things, I look throughout the materials. I did a similar thing with wood. So I created a foaming wood. Because if you make, let me go back to this. If you make furniture, 30 to 70% of it turns into waste. You know, when you make, you sand things or you cut things, there's like a lot of like leftovers that wasn't being used. So I started also seeing like how can you like make that into a valuable material. So I started mixing that with a lot of materials, also a bioresin, and that again started bubbling up. And I thought that's a very efficient way of working with materials, because you just need 1/3 of the material. So I teamed up with a colleague from the Royal College of Art called Jamie Shaw, and we joined a project together with AHEC, the American Hardwood Expert Council. So we were in this workshop where we really became expert in these wood shavings. And there's a little film. I thought there was sound as well. Well, that explains you how this works.
We went around all the different machines in the furniture factory and we collected the different types of shavings that we could find there. It was about the mixture of these that we used that gave us the perfect recipe, the perfect combination for making our chair.
So like fine particles and like bigger, and that combination is like what we need. So what we do is we add wood chips to a resin, a bioresin. We add a bit of water, and that starts a really bizarre foaming reaction.
And this reaction causes the mixture to, is it double or quadruple in size?
Oh, I think three double.
Three double?
Three double.
It grows a lot. But the different mixtures make a big difference, you know. We did some tests where it was growing like 600%, but this would be maybe not quite as strong, so we did a mixture in the end which didn't foam quite as much as that. And then when you've got your mixture, you just apply it to the mold, and it gets a bit crazy then. It's kind of all trying to seep down, seep out of the way, and you just got to keep on pushing it back up with your hands.
It's always fun making these chairs because all chairs and things are all the time different. And by making a lot of them, and we also became expert in if it's like the weather is warmer, they foam much harder, for example. So it was it's really fun to make these. And what I also like is that you actually can see in the shape how they're being made. You know, so it's we basically took a back of a chair in our college, and you see how the material grow onto the legs, and you don't need any screws or anything because the chairs are forming themselves basically. So and if you look at the different types of shavings, you can have a walnut or a cherry stool, and we got very into it. So we started making families, and it was actually really fun to do this all the time. And like I said, I became an expert in making things foam up, you know. And these chairs are in museums such as MoMA, but it always felt like if something was missing. I don't know what it was, but and then I read the book called The Solar Revolution, where it said that within 1 hour we receive enough sunlight to provide the whole world with enough electricity for an entire year. Can you imagine? One hour. And since then, I realized, okay, I have to just focus on this integration of solar energy because there's so much things to do, and the sun is like such an infinite amount of energy we're not using enough. So it's a bit of a thing, but I would like to show you a short film that shows you sort of the power of the sun.
Honestly, you do not want to be here right now. It is the hottest I have ever felt in London. It's all because of that building beside me. Jim Watterson is a reporter on City AM. He's just cooking up some lunch here. I can't even lift it up, it's actually that hot. He's just fried an egg here on the streets of London. He's just putting that in there for his story. It is so hot. It is so hot. There you go. He has just cooked that egg on a frying pan on the streets of London. If you just look back down there, our cameraman Jim, those tiles have just popped off in the heat. That's how hot it is. It is like being under a magnifying glass, and we need to get into the shade, actually. We have with us a solar physicist who is Dr. Simon Foster. If we can just kind of squeeze us. This street in London is rapidly becoming a tourist place.
This is ridiculous. Luckily, I've come dressed for it, but it's focused down here. The building behind us is focused down. I've never felt heat like this. I stupidly left my bag out. And you probably see, so this is actually, it got up to 92.6 degrees.
That's Celsius.
That's Celsius. So that's how hot, as I say, I left one of my boxes out that actually contained this. And that's how hot you get. You can't believe how hot it is. It's actually really unpleasant to actually be out in it.
You're a solar physicist. Just explain this to us, because I've never felt like this in London.
So it's basically, it's like a satellite dish. When you've got a satellite dish, it converges or forces radio waves down onto a point, and then you've got your transceiver at which you receive them. Now you can do the same with light, and that's what this building is doing. Basically, you've got a vast area that's collecting sunlight, and it's focusing it down onto a tiny point, which is where we're standing. So all that sunlight that's hitting that building is being focused down here. It's like being under a magnifying glass as a kid. You know, when you could burn stuff. That's what we're in. It's like a giant version of that, and we're feeling the effects. It's really deeply unpleasant.
I'm sweating here.
Yeah, so the reason why I showed you is that these, as I said, that these surfaces, the buildings are constantly there. They're constantly taking the sun. But like, let's talk solar. Because solar cells are actually invented around 60 years ago. This is a commercial in 1958. That's the same year that the first satellite went to the space, the Vanguard. This is the first telephone call made by solar. It's definitely in the 80s. And if you Google solar design or something, you get things like Disney parks, or you get sort of panda bear shaped power plants. But from the last 60 years, scientists all over the world have been focusing on reducing the price of solar. And now that's because China has been producing them on a very large scale. That also happened. They're so much more affordable than 60 years ago. And also the efficiency has increased a lot. Now solar cells even have an efficiency of nearly 40%, which is incredible. But if we think about the image we have of solar panels, that has stayed the same for the last 60 years. It is still this technology just stacked onto something and not integrated into its environment at all. And I think, climate change is, climate change is the biggest problem of our time, and we can't rely on the government, the engineers to make changes, to make positive changes. We can all contribute to this energy transition. And I think what's needed now is that this technology doesn't become just a technology anymore, but it goes through this transition that we add sort of emotional value to it, like you have with cars. First, a car was just like a thing, a carriage, not dragged by horses anymore, but it was just like a technology that was going, and now it becomes like a lifestyle. And if you think about that needs to happen with solar technology as well, I think. So that's why I focus in my work. I try to really think, how can we look differently at solar technology? Give basically us a choice, not only these blue panels, but there's so many other amazing technologies out there. And I'm going to show you some examples of my work through that. So this is a collaboration I did with Swarovski, the crystal company. And if you cut crystals in a certain way, you're able to bend and direct the light onto a certain place. So I used their crystals to focus the light onto a solar panel, which also makes them more efficient, but also, I would say, using the aesthetics of the crystals. So these, solar crystals, I call them, you could take them outside because they need light, and then in the evening you take them with you, put them in this docking station, and then they were powering these chandeliers. So you're literally taking the sky or the light from outside indoors. Well, I got actually completely really hooked on solar when I saw this technology called the dye-sensitized solar cells. And they're an invention by Michael Gratzel in Switzerland, and they're based on photosynthesis in plants, where the green chlorophyll takes light and turns that into energy for the plants. These cells use the properties of colors to turn light into electricity. So you have different colors in the spectrum. So, for example, orange is more efficient than yellow, for example, because it has a different place in the light spectrum. And the most amazing thing is they even work indoors because they're so sensitive to light. So if I hear this as a designer, you have a glass transparent surface that is able to harvest electricity even indoors, then I think, wow, where can we apply this? And I started with this. This was my graduation project from my master in London. And it was, okay, if a glass object can be a solar cell, then a literal glass can be that too. So this is a tableware where the solar cell is sort of integrated in the glass. So when you don't use your glass, you put it in the cabinet, and then the cabinet stores the energy that the glass or the cup or plate has collected. So the cabinet becomes like one big battery, and it can be used to charge your light or or phone. So was the first step for me, I'm just taking you to the sort of my thought process, that basically every object can be a solar cell. Well, the more surface you have, the more energy you can harvest. So this is current table, where the whole tabletop consists out of this dye-sensitized colored solar cells. So there's a battery in the legs where you can put your phone in and charge from that directly. And like I said, I like to think from extreme efficiency. So I work with materials that expand, but also look at how things are made. Like we choose an orange color because orange is a very stable color for indoors. So that's like, okay, then the table is going to be orange. Fits nice with the Converse, by the way, thinking. And also the pattern is also designed that it doesn't lose the efficiency. And this is always the most asked question I get, is like, okay, great, but how many phones can I charge from this then? And before I go into this complicated answer of like, well, where is the table? Is there something on the table? How much light is coming in? The table has an app now, so you can literally like, because there are light sensors in the table, you can follow how much light is coming in, how full the battery is, and so you kind of like understand to know how this works. You have like a relationship with your object. It becomes like a living object. You kind of have to take care of a bit, you know? Does it have enough light? Is it clean? Good for clean desk policy? Yeah, I'm not doing this alone. I work with a team. This is was in our studio in London. So I work with engineers, and this was during the development, which was a very interesting process. This was we replaced all windows in the gallery in Soho in London too, with current windows, which is a modern version of stained glass. So people from the street could come and charge their phones here through the window ledges. So I'm basically giving extra functions to objects. The window doesn't have to be just a window anymore, but also is a little power station. Okay, so now I'm standing here in my pink-orange suit to talk about how much I love solar. But I don't have solar cells on my roof. I live in the center of Amsterdam. I don't own my house. It's a monument, so I'm not allowed. So how can I have access to solar cells? I just have like some of these little garden lights that is power on solar, but that's not what I want. I want more. So how can we make solar cells accessible for everyone and not only for the people that can afford a sustainable lifestyle? So I'm starting to look, okay, what are other industries or other places where we can integrate solar that you don't necessarily have to see it, but it becomes also like, what can we do with this energy that is being generated? So I was in the train driving in the Westland, the area in the Netherlands with all the greenhouses, and I saw all that glass, you know, and I thought, what if you could integrate this transparent solar glass together with greenhouses, because they require so much energy. They're one of like the biggest gas consumers of the Netherlands. They use so much energy. Or what if you can combine that with high-tech farming? So I started an investigation of like, is that even possible? And for that, I also would like to show you a short film.
The world's population is growing, and so is the demand for food production. New technologies make controlled farming more efficient, but require a lot of energy. Every hour we receive enough sunlight to provide the world with enough electricity for an entire year. What if we could tackle both our world's energy and food problem? What if we can grow using the power of the sun, but more efficiently using high-tech farming? Power Plant is a self-powering greenhouse. Through a transparent solar glass, it powers its indoor climate. We are now able to grow food in places where this wasn't possible before, such as rooftops or places without access to electricity. We need to rethink the future of farming. Through solar design, solar technology can be integrated much better into our environment. We believe in a positive future and the power of design. We want to make a difference by growing the plants of the future.
So yeah, this was a question we started with. Let me explain you simply, because I'm using some terms like indoor farming and what that indoor climate, what that is. With indoor farming, you use hydroponics, and with hydroponics, you pump around nutritions for the plants. You basically grow roots into water, and you pump around water constantly, so you save 90% of water usage. And because of that, you can also grow them into layers, which saves a lot of space. So you can grow plants way more efficient. And then light is coming from sort of these. That's why it has always these bright pink colors. Pink and blue LED lights that enhances plant growth. Because scientists, for example, in the University of Wageningen, they've discovered that plants don't need the whole spectrum, but can have, you can regulate what they need. So you can basically say, okay, I want my tomato to taste like this and this. You're gonna change the temperature, the LED lighting, and the nutrition, and you can make your tomato taste like that. So that's what's happening in this indoor farming. This is in cities and they're all over the world, but that requires a lot of energy. So that's why the idea of combining those. This is sort of a model we made of the first power plant. It's like a 4-meter high thing, and it's powered by solar. So the solar glass is kind of on the side in the frame, and because of it's like a filter, it directs the light to the sides, and you basically don't see the solar panels. So people came and like, okay, great exhibition, Marjan, but where are the solar panels? And that was a compliment, because then I think design really works if you don't see it and you don't notice it. So the idea is to build sort of like a greenhouse, or sort of this like a botanical garden of the 21st century, where you could come in and experience how the plants grow and all this new technology with solar and hydroponics and stuff. And the idea to grow food in the cities itself, so you don't have to take it from the other side of the world, but really grow it on the location itself. So I'm working on that at the moment, to really look at cities like Shanghai and New York to start building these things. So these things start with like an idea, small, from a cup to a thing, to actually like greenhouses. And that's why I say I believe in a solar democracy, solar cells for everyone and everywhere. Because if you think about this, like even in cities, like if all the streets, all the walls, everything can be solar, but we don't see it, or it's done in such a way that it's even beautiful, then I think we're going to somewhere, and that's why I believe in a solar democracy. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You were too fast.
I know. I get enthusiastic about it. I talk way too fast.
Well, thanks a lot. Brilliant, brilliant work. Really, really fabulous. I will start with the first question. Yeah. I want to have this. I want to have such a window. I was just informed by Michael that we actually would like to have it at the agency. Are there products available? How far are you from really producing them?
Yeah, so for example, the lights, the Swarovski light, they are were just launched this week, actually in Milan.
Yeah.
So you can buy them, the chairs. But it's like it's things to really make things happen. Making prototypes, that's kind of easy, you know. But really, the whole step after that takes so much time.
Yeah.
I'm working on it all, but I'm a very impatient person. But it's coming.
Yeah, great. Already any questions from the audience? Otherwise, I'll keep on just on talking here. What I find interesting about the chairs, it's a new aesthetic. We had a phase now where people tried to imitate existing aesthetics with more sustainable products or more sustainable processes. And now we have something that really looks different. When we want an alternative future, we'll see alternative aesthetics and what people regard as beautiful or not beautiful? What do you think?
I think that changes all the time, like aesthetics, and you have trends and stuff. But I think in general, if you look at if something happens naturally, then it's something. Is it so? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's because it's so natural, the shapes, and it's grown organically. It's that's something people we aesthetically love. Like, yeah.
Sei nicht so faul, es ist zwar Wochenende, aber du musst schon ein bisschen mitarbeiten. Hier winkt jemand, bitte ein Mikrofon an die rechte Flanke. Weiter, vorne, weiter, warm, heiß, richtig heiß. Oh ja, jetzt.
Hello. So what about the window solar element? How far is that into actual production or sale?
So now I'm working on quite big projects that we integrated into very big buildings. So having a roof with sort of like a church with solar cells. But the problem is, I call it a problem because that's always the question I get asked, is the cost of this relatively new technology is quite high comparing to the regular solar cell because it didn't go to that transition yet. So they're like 50 years behind. And I started this a couple 5 years ago, and I can see now this technology is also much cheaper. So when I say the price of this, I want this window, people are like, okay, I'll come back to you in a couple of years. So yeah, I'm not going to even try it. And I'm focusing on things that are also available now and stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you want to market them in Germany, there's actually a term. It's called Butzenscheiben.
Yeah?
And it sounds very nice in German. So if you want to have a campaign about this, ask us, because I'm really getting started about having ideas how to promote that idea. Any more questions? Here in the front.
I was wondering where do you get all those financial resources from to realize all those projects?
Yeah, that's a good question. So mostly it's been funded for grants, for example. And the projects you see now, not a Swarovski project, were also self-initiated. So you can go to a government funding and apply with an idea and then do the development thing. So now at the moment, for example, I got a grant to work with ECN, that's the Dutch research center of the Netherlands, and I work with scientists that work on more fundamental solar research. I can also design the solar cells and really think what is the layer, how can you integrate that more, and that would me as a sort of design studio never be possible because our rates are crazy, so that's unaffordable. So because of this grant, I can do that, and then I'm looking for partners and stuff. So it's a process of a lot of talking and writing applications, but yeah,
and of course, much more brands producing products should contact you to make projects like Swarovski, because that's actually something you can sell. So there's also money then to develop it. That would be a good thing. So if there are not any more questions, I would say, here's one. Someone's really burning calories here. So I like that.
Thank you very much. I wanted to ask if you want to promote your technology. I better stand up. I'm here. Hi.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to ask if you want to promote this technology in countries that, like China, for example, to make them more affordable. Because if Swarovski keeps producing them, you can buy it, but you can't really afford it.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you want to keep your patents and keep the production in Europe or like the Western world, or move it to the Far East to make it cheaper?
Yeah, I'm also fine like now because I don't produce them myself, but I found like a very good one that actually is producing in China. So your answer is yes.
Because it's very nice to see those technologies, but I ask myself when I can actually see them in cities around myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that is what I'm working on now, and yes.
Well, the next question comes from the government here, so maybe we will see solar all over the place. Not really.
Basically, well, not only, first place, beautiful presentation. Thank you very much for that. I really enjoyed the approach from the shredded waste of wood, new forms, towards solar democracy, which I think is a very relevant and interesting approach. Weird, though, to me, was the look of the greenhouses in the cities. That reminded me of Silent Running in a way. You maybe remember that sci-fi classic from the 70s, which ended in disaster. But you being from the Netherlands and this being a greenhouse country, is there already a use of solar in the huge greenhouses in the Netherlands? Do you know that?
Well, if you would do it with normal solar cells, you would cover up the light in the greenhouses. And I've been talking to a lot of farmers and also scientists because plants need light, the solar cells need light, so they shouldn't interfere as well. And it was like kind of a calculation, like technically what is required for the plants, what plants can live in there, because it's otherwise does the solar cell have enough energy for the system to work and etc. And also then I realized it wouldn't, for the first step, make sense to go straight into the Westland, the big greenhouses, because all farmers say, yeah, but 1% less light means 1% less profit. So they were like, super nice idea, but like I said, come back in a couple of years because it's too expensive and too far out for them. So think about solar design. That's why I started in cities, also to save the shipping cost and really where we can also experience that more. And it makes more sense because space is more rare, and we want to see what's happening there. We don't have to hide it. Yeah.
Okay, great. Then I would say thanks a lot for coming extra to Wiesbaden, and have a good flight and travel back to Milan. Marjan van Aubel.
Thank you. Thank you.